The second hat trick for teaching level 7 is finger play. I know you're really curious, right? What are you talking about, Glory? What is finger play? I'm sure you're just kind of wiggling your fingers in anticipation of what in the world this is going to be about. But first, let's start by looking at level 7, page 52. So flip over to page 52. Non-chord tones. When writing a melody, the harmonic line outlining the simple progression of chords can be made more interesting by using different techniques. So melodic decoration is adding non-chord tones, such as a decorative passing tone known as PT, or neighbor tone, identified as NT, auxiliary note, to embellish the basic melody. Now, a passing tone, PT, is a non-chord tone moving by step, so same direction as a bridge connecting two chord tones. A neighbor tone, NT, is a non-chord tone moving by step up or down as a bump adjacent to a returning chord tone. Does that make sense? Okay. So what does that have to do with finger play, you may ask me? Well, it looks like Quinn is taking his finger to play with his hat, and no, that was not the hat trick that I was talking about. Haha. Now, as you know, students just make up their own ideas when you're teaching, right? Think about what your student would do with that hat, and actually, I didn't ask Quinn to do any of his little fancy tricks. This is all his own thing. So let's see what Quinn is up to now.
Well, there's Quinn. He's practicing his hat trick. How's it going with the hat trick?
It's fun.
All right. Well, that was cute. I know you've been practicing that all week, Quinn.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So what are we doing for a hat trick here? Looks like there's a party going on. I see Tito's got something happening here, and he's got some melodic decoration going on. So we're talking about passing tones and neighbor tones. So can you just go ahead and read that little Tito tip there for me, Quinn?
Tito says, unaccent non-chord tones fall on the weak beat or weak subdivision of the beat. When adding neighbor tones, there will be more than one correct answer, above or below.
Right. So a passing tone moves from one chord tone to the next, either ascending or descending in the same direction. And a passing tone, a neighbor tone can be up or down between two repeated chord tones. So go ahead and play the first exercise, Quinn. So question number 1A, what key are you in here?
Or in F major.
F major, 3/4 times. So go ahead and just play that, not too fast because we're going to be adding some chords in a minute. So go ahead and play that for us. Excellent. So now I'm going to have you do a little finger play.
Well, it's time to reveal the real hat trick of finger play. Now, this hat trick actually comes from Ruth Douglas. She shared with me that when you're learning how to hear what you see, a great way to start is by using your fingers to play the piece on your imaginary keyboard on your desk or tabletop and learn how to listen to your inner hearing. Now, this takes some practice, but it is very effective and it's lots of fun. So right now, take your fingers and play the melody in line number 1 on your imaginary keyboard just in front of you on the table. You may even want to hum along with it as you play. So get your hand in the right position so your thumb is going to start on the F. Can you hear the intervals in your head a little? Okay. Have you tried this technique with your students? I'd love it if you just throw me a little message in the chat box here. If you use this finger play technique with your students, I'd love your comments. It's just really interesting what we can do. Now in the next line down here that's blank, this exercise indicates that you're going to rewrite the melody, adding melodic decoration using unaccented non-chord tones. And after completing that, you will then circle and label the non-chord tones as PT or as NT. Watch Quinn as he uses the hat trick of finger play. Check it out.
So we've got a hat trick here, Quinn, and the hat trick is this. When you're doing your homework or doing an exam and this exercise is to be completed, we don't always have access to a piano. So the hat trick is that we want to do finger play. And finger play is when we play that silently. So now I want you to work your magic, and you're going to add your passing tone and neighbor tone and play that silently on top of the piano. So you're just going to kind of tap it out with your fingers. Let's see what that sounds like. So you're going to do the same exercise. We're doing exercise number 1, and you can go ahead and add those. Are you ready, Quinn?
Yeah.
All right. And now that you've practiced that, could you hear that in your head?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could hear it too. I think you did a good job on your hat trick there, Quinn. Are you ready to go on to the next thing? Do you think?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you spin that thing any faster?
Apparently not.
The third hat trick is to tell a story. You know, when I was first learning music history as a young student, I was given a book with facts about composers, their works, and told to memorize it. I mean, how boring and unmemorable is that? No wonder I had to start all over again when I started writing about music history and doing all the research in writing the history section in the supplemental series. So we took a different approach to music history, and that is tell a story. Remember the story I told you about the dad and his twin boys? How one boy was nervous about finding his new route, and what the dad realized was that the boy wasn't really afraid of change, but he was afraid of not being prepared for the change. So stories really appeal to all types of learners. Storytelling has aspects that work for all 3 types of learners. A visual learner learns best from videos, diagrams, or illustrations, and they appreciate the mental pictures of storytelling. An auditory learner learns best through lectures and discussions, and they focus on the words and the storyteller's voice, as you might be listening to me. A kinesthetic learner learns best by doing. Experiencing or feeling, and they remember the emotional connections and feelings from the story. Do you know your own learning style? Are you visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? You can enter that in the chat box. And some of you may not know, and that's okay. And you may also be a combination of more than one. But not only do you need to know your learning style, just as importantly, you need to know the learning style of your student. Think about how you received the story about the nervous young boy who was afraid of not finding the new route to his bus. How did you relate to him? Visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? Storytelling is simple and it's really easy to remember. One of the composers in level 7 on page 66 is Chopin. The story of Chopin comes from the Romantic era. Chopin, born in 1900, no, Chopin, born in 1810 in Warsaw, Poland, was known as the poet of the piano. In 1830, Russians captured Warsaw in a revolutionary uprising. And this threw Chopin into a rage. He never forgave Russia, and he never played in Russia. Instead, Chopin expressed his devoted love, support, and patriotism for Poland through his music, including the etude in C minor, known as the Revolutionary Etude. Now, the story continues as students learn about music nationalism, about his concert etudes that were written for the virtuoso performer, his use of rubato and chromaticism. The story of the revolutionary etude is very dramatic. Now, as we tell the story about Chopin's revolutionary etude, we learn about Chopin's ability to inspire performers, to play with expressive phrasing and beautiful tone and dramatic expression and lyricism. Now, we simply go to GSG Music for easy resources to listening to Chopin's Revolutionary Etude. And in the Level 7 Answer Book, page 66, you can see how students complete their answers while they're listening to the music, and this kind of brings it all together. Does that make sense? Okay.